So technical skills were not a problem in establishing myself in my career. Hard work was not a problem. You might know that about immigrant families. So, and I'm sure if you're here in engineering, you have the hard work ethic down. But I did not have the confidence to communicate with my management, to advocate for my ideas, to speak to my work and to the value I was delivering, to challenge a no, to be able to communicate and lead and influence. And that held me back. And so today, I am passionate about helping STEM professionals not letting anything hold them back, because you have big work to do. You have to go out there, solve problems, and take us to a better future. If you're doing your job well, you will further your level of influence, and now you have a higher level of influence. More people and teams know about your work. And as we go further, then we have the company at large and the industry at large, where there is call for papers, conferences, and you can help change the direction of a whole industry with your work and your influence. How many of you love asking for help? Be honest. Okay, I'm so glad to see it, because some of us are like independent, I've got this, and that's good, but let me tell you the risk you're taking if you don't ask for help in your job. If you don't ask for help, you're on a big project, you have assignments, and you don't assess appropriately the deadline, the level of support and budget that you need, and you come up short, you don't deliver excellent results, or you're late, that's harder to recover from. So the smart thing to do is to assess appropriately and to ask for help to set everyone up for success. Nobody wants to be arrogant. So let's look at the very, very key distinction. Arrogance is always based on comparing ourselves to others. So arrogance is walking into a room thinking you are better than others. Arrogance is going into an interview, coming out and thinking, I am better than this candidate and this candidate and this candidate. It is outwardly comparing us and elevating us and putting us on a pedestal. That's arrogance. We do not aim or aspire to arrogance. Confidence is based on your own values, your own worthiness, your own sense of belonging and qualification. Confidence is walking into that same room thinking, I belong here, I'm good enough to be here, I can be part of this room. It's walking out of that interview believing I am good enough to do that job. I can do the work that they present. I did a really good job at my interview. It is focused on yourself, and always, if you're going to compare, comparing yourself to the previous version of you and aiming for higher. Now, the other one might be a little more emotionally charged, and this is the phrasing you need to use. You need to have the courage. So you might say to a teammate or a boss, you know, the joke you shared here was inappropriate. I am all for fun workplaces, but let's have fun while we are being kind and inclusive and professionals. And this is something we have to do to create the right workplaces and to nurture the cultures that we want to be a part of. Okay, first version, we're going to step out of it. Can I give you some coaching?
Yeah.
Okay, so you caught me a little off guard. Okay. I want you to set it up first. Okay. And I know I haven't said any of this, so we're going to do it. Setting it up means, you know, Farnoosh, I have an idea I'd like to share before we wrap. Would that be okay?
Okay.
Prepare us to receive the idea.
All right.
And I'm going to give you a little bit more. You said your idea and lay it out a little more. Here is the big idea. I think we should do such and such. Okay. Here is how it would work. I'm pushing you, but I want you to really lay it out. And then I'd like to know what you think. Okay, so let's step out of the role play. How did that feel in your body to bring that big concern right before a launch to project lead and the boss. I mean, you sounded confident.
Yes.
I believe you all heard she was very confident. She felt part of the team. She felt confident enough to speak out on a big risk. You knew your material, so the expertise showed. Here is why, here is the risk. How did it feel in your body? When I was working in my corporate job, I cannot count how many days I would come home either in a rage or in tears or somewhere in between. None of those emotions good. Because I didn't have the resources, the know-how, the tools to have the necessary but difficult conversations that needed to happen. I didn't know how to resolve conflict, how to advocate for my work, how to speak to things that happened in our culture that were not right, about which I had concerns. I didn't have the tools and the resources. So often I was misunderstood, which is not a good place to be. And so my goal today is to give you resources, frameworks, systems, scripts, tools, so that you never feel that way. I'm going to give him more coaching because we're going to push you here, right? And it's a nice, safe space. So you are apologetic. And don't say, unfortunately. No. Say, Farnoosh, I totally hear you, and I agree this is a hugely important project. It's my number one priority. May I suggest a different schedule for checking in? May I reassure you in a different way? And wait for me to respond one more time. Let's say the interviewer just asks you, so, Michaela, so glad you're applying for this position. I need to know if you have this particular skill. It's not on your resume. And your mind goes to that internship you had 2 summers ago, and you start to talk about that internship, but you haven't put it in context yet, and you might lose your interviewer. So before you do, I want you to be over clear. You might say, Mike, thank you for asking that question. You're right, I don't have that particular skill yet. However, let me share with you my experience from the internship and how that relates to the skills you are looking for. The second one, thinking without constraints. So, when you are in a job, wherever you end up being, there is going to be constraints, limits on resources, budget, time, right? And that's fine, and those constraints may stay. But before you think about all the constraints, can you think without them? What's possible if I didn't have the constraint of 2 weeks? What is possible if I could work with 3 more people? And just explore the ideas that come to you to solve the problems. Okay? That's thinking like an entrepreneur. So this, as you can see, isn't just technical. It takes a lot of skills that we've been building so far, using your voice, being confident, being patient, being compassionate as you move the team through problem solving and arriving at solutions. Yes, you need to be a leader. How I cultivated teamwork and helped nurture a culture of. Use this phrase. My hope is that you own your workplace cultures and you create the cultures that you need for your generation and future generations. Just because a culture is there doesn't mean it's stuck in place. If it doesn't serve you, don't leave. Own it, bring about positive change, and then speak about it to your boss.